What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Between the Chalk podcast, part of the Prime Time Sports Betting Network. Today's date is Friday, April 29th, 2022. My name is Trent Pruitt, aka Trent Betts, and I'm here with my co-host, Noah Weinberg. Noah, what is going on, brother?
What's up? What's up? Happy Friday. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Baseball is in full swing right now.
It is.
I just couldn't be happier.
I mean, your White Sox are doing well too, so it's a great day to be Mr. Trent Betts.
Yes, White Sox are not doing well. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
I don't really
Let's run through the show.
Yeah, let's talk about the lineup. We're going to talk about umpires. Should we have robot umpires? We'll get into a little talk about that. We'll recap the midweek series, and then we'll talk upcoming series for the weekend, and then we'll finish up with our best bets and get out of here. So should be a pretty stacked show, but it's going to be a good one.
Absolutely.
Noah, you want to go ahead and lead us off here with the umpires?
Sure. So Angel Hernandez is in the news again. Kyle Schwarber in a recent series over the weekend, as I alluded to, got thrown out of a baseball game because he was arguing balls and strikes with the umpire, who just happened to be Angel Hernandez. Angel Hernandez is known around baseball as probably the worst umpire. You could argue ever, but maybe because of more recent history and just because we've seen him and everybody in social media is just so aware, we label him as the worst ever in baseball history. But let me just read you a quick note. So Joe Girardi, a baseball traditionalist, a known baseball traditionalist, right? The manager for the Phillies. In a recent game, in that game that Schwarber got ejected, Girardi said that he wouldn't mind robot umpires. That is so out of the blue coming from a baseball traditionalist, someone who would say, you know what, it's part of the game. Let the umpires be the umpires, and it's part of the game. He is on board. So I'll just give you some facts about Mr. Hernandez as we're going through this whole segment.
Yeah, break it down for us.
All right. The number 26,000 or 2,600. What's that? It's the number of balls and strikes calls that he has missed over the last 7 years. 2,600.
That's insane.
All righty. Second. Here's a second fun fact. We'll call this a fun fact, as this is. He sued unsuccessfully Major League Baseball for racial discrimination. You know, in 2017, he thought that the reason that he hadn't been promoted to crew chief and the reason that he hadn't umpired World Series games yet was because of some racial issue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to tell you, Angel Hernandez, that's not the case. You're just bad at your job. Here's another one. Angel Hernandez got 354 balls and strike calls wrong in his 31 games in 2021. That's more than 11 per game. Another stat. Of the three worst umpires last year, two of the worst umpires were Joe West and Angel Hernandez, and Joe West decided to hang it up last year. I could keep going, but I think I've hammered it in enough about Angel Hernandez. What I really wanted to mention and get in here is that I think that robot umpires or automated umpires are needed in baseball. But it's hard to say that because I don't want to take away the art of catching and framing. I think umpires, in my opinion, what would be the best situation is if the umpires have something maybe in their ear, but like a robot giving them the call, but the umpire can make whatever call that they want to make and have that robot as like a check or a balance or a reference. But with that, what needs to be able to happen is coaches have to be able to challenge strikes and balls. If they can go to an umpire and challenge those pitches, there can be some sort of accountability that the umpires have in whether they're calling strikes or they're calling balls. Because if you can review strikes and balls because there's an umpire, there's a robot there, but the umpire is making the call.
Mm-hmm.
If you can review it, kind of like you can review plays at the base or close plays anywhere, I think that will be much more beneficial for the entirety of the argument of balls, strikes, and just accuracy. What do you think?
Yeah. And I mean, if you were to implement something like that, where they could review balls and strikes, you'd hope that would only take a matter of, 10 seconds, 20 seconds.
Right. With the robot umpire, they already have the answer.
Right. Now, as for me, I think definitely there has to be something done because this is becoming an issue more often. I guess it was always probably an issue. It's just that there's more light being shined on it nowadays. I could go either way about robot umps or automated strikes and balls calls. As for me, I'm big on integrity. So I just want to keep the integrity of the game or at least try to establish the integrity. Now, if that means, implementing automated strikes and balls calls, I'm all for that. If that means just holding these guys accountable, like getting rid of guys like Angel Hernandez, I'm all for that as well. Just because, enough's enough with this guy. 2,600 missed calls over 7 years. That's brutal.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Something needs to be done. Any other profession, he'd be gone.
Absolutely. That's way too many errors.
People who make that many errors in a game would be in a baseball game would no longer have a job as a player. So, it just goes to show that umpires are outdated and there needs to be some sort of change.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Yeah. And then the last topic I just had here, kind of a correlated thing to the topic.
Do it.
There was some news last week that 16 members of Monmouth University law class submitted an 82-page document to overturn Armando. How do you even say this guy's last name?
Galarraga.
Yeah, to overturn his perfect game. That was the infamous Joe Joyce blown call at first base. That would have been the 27th out in the game. Would have been the 21st perfect game at the time back in 2010.
Jim Joyce, I mean, so funny about that story. Jim Joyce and Armando Galarraga are really good friends now. Jim Joyce has apologized so much. He's taken so much heat for that, and he knows he's messed up. There's a difference between what happened with Jim Joyce and what's going on with Angel Hernandez. Angel Hernandez doesn't go ahead and say, you know what? Yeah, I fucked up. I blew the calls. I really messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Joyce did. And that's what makes it different. If Angel Hernandez was out there saying, you know what, I'm trying to get better, guys. Like, I see what you guys are saying. He is not the case. Him and Joe West, there's a really funny image that I'm just constantly am reminded of Joe West. And there's one point in time where he stopped on the hallway, either up to the game or away from the game. Mm-hmm. And he stopped to sign autographs as if people are there to see him. And it just blew my mind. Like, wow, what a show. What a guy.
Good old Cowboy Joe.
The sheriff.
We love him.
So why don't we move on to series recaps? I don't think I have anything else about I do have a lot I could say about robot umpires and Angel Hernandez and just terrible umpires, but I think said my piece.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good overview. I'm sure we'll dive into it throughout the year and
Yeah, there's gonna
throughout
be
the
more
upcoming
terrible
years.
calls.
Yeah, let's talk some series recaps. We'll start with that little wonky 1 game series, whatever that was,
Yeah,
on Monday at the Giants. 1 game series in Milwaukee. Giants won 4-2. Um, Jock Peterson, Luis Gonzalez each hit two-run bombs, or excuse me, each hit a 2-run bomb in the game. Corbin Burns still looks like he's in Cy Young form. 6 inning pitched, 0 earned runs, 2 hits, 2 walks.
yeah.
That's about it there.
I mean, it's just crazy. Those are just two great teams. The fact that Corbin Burns went 6 innings, no earned, and the Giants still won 4-2. It's just crazy. Um,
He's so good.
you can pay attention to the Giants and the Brewers every series, and then each game is going to be fun to watch. Both teams are good this year. Both
Yeah,
teams are good this year.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll keep it rolling there. The Brewers bounced back though. They sweep the Pirates in 3 games in the midweek series there. Brandon Woodruff got roughed up. 4 innings pitched, 4 earned, 7 hits in his outing. Crew bounced back to win though, thanks to a career day from Willie Adames. 2 homers in the game, 7 RBIs. And then
Yeah,
he hit a home run in the next game as well. 3 homers in 2 days.
yeah, they're too funny. I mean, like even in the game that they won 12-8, right, on Tuesday,
Mhm.
um, they didn't think Hader had enough saves. Apparently, they were winning 10-4 going into the seventh. Gave up 4 and decided to bring in Hader for the last out just to give him an extra save. If Craig Counsell wasn't a manager who thought rest was needed for these guys, who wasn't one of these new school guys, was an old school manager, he
Mhm.
probably would have let Hader go 3 saves in 3 days,
Yeah.
but kindly gave Devin Williams the opportunity, and Devin Williams just shut it down on the third day. But all the Brewers need to do is make it to that last ninth inning with the lead, and they guaranteed are almost guaranteed every time that Hader is available to win. It's just the only issue is that nobody is really doing anything great on the Brewers offense. They're just doing enough to barely scrape together like what's needed to get that pitching staff
Mhm.
to be able to bring them the dubs.
Yeah. Man, I was just looking here. I'm trying to find out what Hader's current save streak is.
I
It looks like,
save streak. I don't know about his save streak, but I think he's at 10 games this season.
yeah, it's 10 for 10 this year, which is insane. um,
Yeah, 10, and that's more than most teams have wins.
yeah, that is crazy. Man, maybe puts Eric Gagne on the hot seat here, coming for his 84
Ooh.
saves record.
We don't talk. Eric Gagne has a very special place in my heart. There's nothing that anybody can do that can remove him from my heart. All I hear is just his walk-in music, seeing the lights dim in Dodger Stadium, and it warms my heart. He is forever the GOAT closer.
Yeah, it's insane, man. He won the Cy Young, I think, 1 year, which is like,
Absolutely, as a closer.
you don't see that every day.
No, and what's steroids? He never took steroids. I don't know about that, right? We don't talk about that.
Right. Speaking of steroids, let's keep it rolling here.
Yeah.
Head out to the Bay.
Giants.
The Giants, they split the 2 game series with the A's. Maybe they could have used some steroids in that second game. The A's won 1-0 thanks to a Chad Pinder homer in the first inning, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Junis stuns us all again. Another 5 innings of no runs allowed. Paul Blackburn matches that in that game. And then going back in time, Rodon looked great again in the first game there. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 9 punch-outs in the 8-2 win. Wilmer Flores, Austin Slater each hit 3-run bombs.
Yeah, it's first what I have to say. The A's, all they did is win one. One game is okay. It doesn't affect my like model of how many wins I see the A's winning this year. first of all. Okay.
Yep.
Secondly, even in the Giants' loss to the A's, they only gave up 1 run. What I have to say about the Giants is bet the opposing team unders all day, every day, and feel more than confident. Here's a quick little stat. The Giants this season, the most they've given up in a game was 6, and it only happened once, and it was in their loss to the Mets, a 2-6 loss to the Mets. They've only allowed 44 earned runs this season, and one team has given up fewer, and that's the Dodgers. The next lowest is at 56. So,
Wow.
take it as you will, but the Giants pitching staff is the real deal. Even in the fact that they're just like, they may not be playing the best talent so far to start their season, they're still getting it done, and I don't see them. They played the Mets. That's some pretty good talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I just see the Giants keeping it up. So unless you're playing it, unless the Giants are playing a team like the Mets, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, maybe even the Yankees, the way they're hitting right now, I think that unless they're playing one of those teams, you can easily bet the opposing team under.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't bet the game unders necessarily because the Giants are kind of wicked and could, depending on the opposing team pitchers. But I think the Giants are definitely good for low scoring games. Something I pay attention to.
Yeah, their pitching staff is elite. Let's keep it rolling here. Mets take 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals in St. Louis. Max Scherzer continues just to be an absolute stud. Shoves again, 7 innings, no earned runs, 2 hits. He is 3-0. He didn't pick up the win in that game.
Crazy.
But he has a 1.8 ERA and 0.76 whip through 4 starts. Miles Mikolas actually matched him in that game, 7 innings, no earned runs, 4 hits. Cardinals bullpen blew the game in that one. All 7 runs. It was a 5-2 final in that first game. All 7 runs came in the 8th and 9th inning, which that's a bad day to have the under ticket. I think it was 6.5 in the game, and there were 7 runs, all of them in the final 2 frames.
Crazy.
Mets won game 2 as well. Chris Bassett dominated. That was a 3-0 win for them. 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, 2 hits. And Cardinals bounced back in game 3, 10-5. Arenado 3 for 3 in that game with 3 RBIs. But the biggest news of the day there was the bench is clearing.
Yeah, that was crazy. And what I have to say about that is baseball is back. It was the first time. It was the first time where I felt that screw COVID, screw everything. We're going to have a bunch of guys just fighting for no reason. It was awesome. I saw a moment where Pete Alonso got thrown to the ground in the fight.
Yeah.
I saw one clip of, I think it was a Cardinals bullpen guy who jumped over the fence while everybody else was trying to find where the gate opened. One of the Cardinals pitchers just hopped the fence and was leagues in front of the other guys when they were like running out to the skirmish. It's awesome. I knew the Mets were going to be in trouble when they brought back Buck Showalter.
Mm-hmm.
The guy takes everything personally and so old school. I wouldn't be surprised if he threw at the other team for something the mascot did. It's just, that's the type of guy Buck Showalter is. I think the Mets knew what they were getting, and I don't think he's a long-term person there. I think he's just kind of there to right the ship and establish a culture of old school baseball. I guess that's what they want.
Buck is definitely he's definitely an interesting character.
But I mean, for the Cardinals, Arenado might be on his MVP shit this year. And I'm here for it. I'm all about it. Love Arenado. He's a defensive prowess. He is an absolute legend out there. And he's helping give Albert and Yachty and Wainwright a proper send off. I added Wainwright in there because I'm speaking things into existence. But I think that, he might like Arenado, Goldie, O'Neill, and then the eventual come up of Nolan Gorman. Nolan Gorman, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I'll tell you this name, Nolan Gorman, and I'll say it again, Nolan Gorman. Please pay attention. Please know the name. The guy's about to take the league by storm. I'm going to try to think of a comparison really quickly. It's probably going to be similar to when Yasiel Puig came onto the league.
Ooh.
Do you remember how just exciting he was and how potent he was in the batter's box? It was like every time he stepped in the plate, something exciting was about to happen.
Yeah, the guy's an electric factory.
Absolutely. The only difference is there's a little bit more consistency with Gorman.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not as wild on the base path and not as like loose cannon. But for the excitement and just talent in that season, expect similar numbers. So that's what I have to say about the Cardinals, just Nolan Gorman.
Yeah, I'm excited for that guy to come up as well. Nolan. That's going to be fun.
It should be.
Let's keep it rolling here. Let's go ahead and talk about Noah's second favorite team in the league, the Guardians. Ooh, what are they riding, a 7-game losing streak? Getting swept out of New York, getting swept out of LA. Whew, man, you just hate to see that.
They did it. They proved me wrong. They saw what the White Sox were doing, and they decided they just want to join in,
Yep.
They wanted to compete with those losing streaks because they just wanted to give the Twins the Central. It's the Twins' year. It's their turn.
Please.
Might as well just give it to them early. I could give you some stats, though, if you want them.
Yes, I do.
Jose Ramirez has 25 RBIs on 25 hits. He is currently slashing just a measly 347, 407, and 708. Man. But nobody would really care about those numbers because he's a Guardian, right? But across the way, you have a team who might also just be one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. You have Mike Trout, who, in case you forgot, is just the best player in baseball history. I'm sure everybody forgot about him for a little bit, but he's back. In the last 7 days, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, and is slashing similar numbers: 352, 478, and 788.
Wow.
And in case you've been sleeping on the Halos, like I purposely have been, there's also this guy, Taylor Ward, who, if you thought Mike Trout did well this week or in the last 7 days, Ward out hit him. 4 home runs, 1 triple, 11 RBIs, and slashed 381, 509, and 762.
Jeez.
Dude, Ohtani isn't that, like, I said Ohtani was a difference maker. But turns out that team might actually be full of difference makers. With Rendon also getting hot. And then you have Syndergaard, who's pitching well. Lorenzen's getting them wins. I think, and Rafael Iglesias, who everybody forgets about. I think this Angels team might be frisky. Hopefully they don't do some sort of Angels crap and to start losing. But I will give Angels fans or just bettors, some words of wisdom. Mm-hmm. Some series they have coming up in May or through the end of May. They have 4 against the White Sox. They have 3 against the Nationals. They have 7 against Oakland. They have 5 against Texas.
Wow.
That's 19 games. The Angels could come out of that. I'm thinking 14-5 at worst.
Yeah, they'll lose the 4 to the White Sox and then just kidding. No, but I think you're spot on there. Yeah, they could really put some space in between them and the rest of the division over those 19.
Right. And the only thing that sucks is Houston is probably good to win 2 out of 3 in each of their series.
Mm-hmm.
And Seattle is probably good to win 2 out of 3 in, if you call that one, like if you call those 19 games, Seattle's probably good to win similar numbers, just under that. But
yeah,
it's tough. They're playing in a real tough division at the top.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun division to keep up with. Angels, man, I don't know. I don't want to say that I didn't see it coming, that they're like this good, because they do have like the potential, right? They have all these guys with names, Trout, Ward, Ohtani, Tony Two Bags, Joe Adell.
Exactly.
I mean,
you know it. You can name off all the names, all the guys.
Exactly. Do I even have to name them all?
The list is too long.
They have all these guys. It's about time they're playing up their potential. We're finally getting to see Mike Trout prove that he's the GOAT again. And, that's always good for baseball. So
always good for baseball.
I hope they can kind of keep it going, because baseball is better when Mike Trout is in contention.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Let's move to the biggest series of the week.
Yes.
Our beloved D-backs take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers.
Yes. And I just have to say, I'll be honest, I didn't see this coming. And I'll give you 2 perspectives on this one, okay? I'm going to give it to you as a Dodgers fan and then as a D-backs fan, okay?
Mm-hmm.
As a Dodgers fan, we're going to chalk it up to any team can just win on any given day, and that's baseball. And that's why we love baseball. Baseball is just so special. And it shows you that even great teams, powerhouse teams, the best team baseball has ever freaking seen, can lose to some teams that probably shouldn't be. But it's okay. So that's what we say as a Dodgers fan. We just chalk it up, and we lose this series one game. We can have a bad series or 2, and we're just see it in October. Then you have the D-backs fans, okay? And you think, wow, we're playing well. We have pitchers who are doing well. We have some young guys who are showing up. Mm-hmm. But to tell you the truth, this is a double-edged sword, because one, it means that you're helping get your teams some wins here and there, but what do those wins really mean in the whole scheme of things?
Right.
But 2, and this is the real sword. This is the sharp edge of the sword. Excuse me. Since they're doing well now, there is no shot they're going to be on your team by the end of the season. I like to think of this season for the Diamondbacks as a season-long tryout for contending teams who are looking for trade pieces. And it's going to be good for the D-backs. It's all going to work out because the D-backs are going to get a number of prospects. They're just going to add to that team, and they're going to eventually creep up until they can finally explode and compete and bring all their prospects up at once. Excuse me. And just go crazy. But I think that until then, the D-backs have some work to do. The Dodgers, it's going to be a good season. They'll have some hiccups here and there. But I do have a trivia for you.
Okay.
Of the D-backs players with more than 20 at-bats, how many of them have a batting average of over 250? Or I'll say 250 or over, just in case you think there might be one at 250.
Do you want me to guess? Because I read the notes here.
Okay.
So just give it maybe a moment of silence for those listening / watching.
Okay. But if you didn't read the note, what would you have guessed?
How many have an average over 250?
Yeah. 250. We're
250 or over.
We're pretty early into the season, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to have a over 250 batting average at this point. That means you're getting on 1 every 4 at bats.
Yeah.
Pretty doable. 2 every 8, right? What do you
Now,
think?
being that I know the Diamondbacks and I know that they're only hitting 178 as a team, I wouldn't have guessed more than like 3
Yeah,
at the
I mean,
most.
the answer's 2, and
Mhm.
one of them happens to be Seth Beer, the guy, your child prodigy. I won't call him a child; he's a grown man.
He is a grown man.
But yeah, your prodigy, who will definitely be with you guys for seasons to come. Uh, at least
And
I hope so. Who knows? The D-backs could trade him for the right price, but I doubt that.
now, who is the other one? I'm trying to think. Would it be Peralta?
No.
Varsho? No, Varsho stinks. Um, Cattell?
I believe it was Cattell, but I don't. It was not. No, it was. Of the. I don't recall
I'm
who the
gonna look it
second
up real
one
quick.
was.
Just
It just
because,
wasn't important.
yeah,
It,
we can't leave the fans.
the point was that the other guy was hitting 264. It was like Beer's hitting 280 something. The other guy's hitting 264. And I didn't want to put the line at like how many guys are hitting above 265.
Mhm.
Um, so
All right, I'll look that up in the meantime. Let's see here, and then we'll keep it rolling.
yeah, I mean, all I have to say about that is as well as the Dodgers fans can just expect the NL pennant. And it's gonna be a fun season till then. Just it's good. It's kind of like the Warriors when you were just like, all right, talk to me, talk to me when the final starts.
All right, so yeah, it looks like I have it up here. It looks like Pavin Smith, 264 with 53 at bats.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
he's young too. He's young too. So D-backs fans, you're young guys maybe might have something coming.
Yep. Let's keep it rolling here. That's enough snakes talk for 1 week. I think the people like we love the snakes because we lived out in Arizona for a little while. But people probably could care less about the snakes.
What do you mean? I'll tell you, they probably need to pay attention to the Snakes because if you think your team is a contending team, one of these guys are going to be on your team after the trade deadline.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
So,
You know who won't be trading for any players on the D-backs? The Reds, because they're still horrible. And
absolutely.
that's my new favorite storyline this year, just following the Reds losses. They're 3-16 on the year, and they just got swept by the Friars. I think that was in Cincinnati as well.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, go
all
ahead.
three, yeah, I'll just keep rolling here. All three of those games went over. 15 runs in the first game, 13 in the second, 12 in the third, which probably raises concerns about the Padres pitching staff, considering the Reds are the worst team in OPS at .573, and they have the second lowest batting average to our Diamondbacks at 197. But it seems like it's mainly the bullpen for the Padres, which ranks 22nd in ERA at 4.0. I'm surprised they didn't really address this at over the offseason. Although they did bring in Taylor Rogers and he's been lights out, 7 innings pitched, 6 saves, no runs allowed. But overall, that bullpen is definitely shaky.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. The the Padres, you like to think of them, and at me as a fantasy player, I look at the Padres bullpen as having some sure pieces who can get you a couple innings. And I usually see them as 2 inning guys, middle relief guys. Hasn't been the case this year. There's maybe 2 names, but I am also surprised that they didn't approach it. I think they were hoping that their hitting would just be able to take them through. Granted, Mackenzie Gore did have 10 Ks the other day. So at least your young guy is coming through.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's not a one and done like Chris Paddock. But I think the Friars have a lot more faith in Gore than they did in Paddock. Yeah, I mean, I like your Reds bet. I think if you go along with that all year, I'd love to see what the numbers end up as because I mean, granted, we could just see their record, but I'd like to see what ends up being a safer bet. Either the Giants opposing team unders or just Reds straight up L's.
Yeah, that will be. So I actually have a friend, one of our listeners, Joey is his name. He's been tracking if you bet the Reds, if you bet against the Reds every game, like what's going to happen. So we will have that statistic at the end of the year. I'll have to ask him and keep everyone posted.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, all I know is that I like the fact that you gave me the overs, that they all went over.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good for bettors to pay attention to. Even though it was the Reds, I think the Padres are still putting runs on the board, and that's important to note.
Yes, absolutely. Should we keep it rolling here? Head down to beautiful Florida, the Sunshine State, where the Rays take 2 out of 3 from the Mariners, despite Seattle outscoring Tampa Bay 11-9 in the series.
Yeah, I mean, what I have to say about that one is just J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. He's kind of electric. He's fun to watch, but he's just not putting out the numbers that he could be, and neither is Kalenic.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle's pitching couldn't do enough to hold the Rays this series. But the Rays are just doing just enough to win as well. You know, the Rays have a +6 run differential on the season so far. And Seattle's 11-8 record with a +20 run differential proves their offense is potent, you know? But Seattle just can't find the runs that they need to when they need it. That's why their record's only 11-8. The Rays, as you know, as probably everybody knows, is kind of this like rebuilding year. It looks like their team is totally different than teams before. Is that because they've seen the Blue Jays team, and said, you know what, this might be their season, and let's kind of figure it out? Maybe. But I think this year for the Rays is going to be a building year. It's going to be an establishing year for Wander Franco, for some of those younger guys. And then you're also going to see some of their potent minor league guys come into the fray as well. So you saw some of them making some appearances last year, but I think more this year they'll come up and they'll be more mainstays in their lineup, so that next year in 2 years you will see the Rays making some real waves. So this is one of those bets. This is like that time that we talked about the Rays winning the American League in that 60-game season. I'm getting the same vibes from this team for like 1 to 2 years down the road.
Yeah, I like the Rays. And, you know, even though you're saying like they're kind of rebuilding, like they're still going to win a lot of games. They're going to be at least 500, probably win at least like, I would think they'll win like 87 games or 88 games, maybe.
Which is crazy for a rebuilding team.
Yeah, in the East.
In the East. Exactly. Yeah, it's interesting to see what the Rays are doing.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. I don't know if they have the pieces. I don't know. It's tough. I'm going to say I don't know if they have the pieces to like really push themselves over and make a push for division contention or, you know, even bigger ambitions. But dude, I don't know. We could be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, what I want to just say about that really quickly is the Rays have a they establish like this weird pitching like movement, right?
Philosophy. It's wild.
Philosophy, we'll call it. And I do see a couple teams starting to establish that same philosophy. And one of the teams I see it happening with is the Pittsburgh Pirates. We didn't really talk much about them when we talked about the series, because there's not really much to talk about with the Pirates usually.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But I think it's something to pay attention to and keep in mind in case the Pirates do start to put it together for a couple weeks in the season, maybe a month even, because that could be the reason why. because they're taking into account the Rays pitching philosophy.
Yeah.
So just something to pay attention to.
Yeah, let's keep it rolling here. The Fighting Phils, they bounced back with a 4-game sweep over the Rockies. They scored 32 runs over 4 games for Philadelphia, limited Colorado to just 9 runs total there.
Yeah.
Now, do you happen to know? I don't want to put you on the spot. Do we know if we still have a Connor Joe hit streak going?
No, we do not have a Connor Joe hit streak going on.
R.I.P.
Well, I mean, I think I didn't see today's game, or excuse me, Thursday's game, but I know there was a game somewhere this last week that he did not get a hit.
Okay.
So that his
that
streak
looks
has gone away, but the streak of saying his name on the Between the Chalk podcast has continued.
It's up to 8 now, I think.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it looks like he did go 0 for 5 on the 26th, and then he went 0 for 5 yesterday.
Yeah, so what I will say, are the Rockies coming back down to earth, or are the Phillies figuring it out? Could it be a little bit of both? Probably not. What I think is the Rockies just happened to, or the Phillies just happened to play the Rockies. The Rockies are coming back down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks. I was so excited to see the Rockies play well. But it's just bad news for the crew down in Denver. I hope this isn't the beginning of the end, but I also wouldn't be surprised. Yes, the Phillies did get great starts out of Wheeler, out of Eflin, out of Nola, but it's bad news for the Rockies when the Phillies are able to trot out Kyle Gibson, and he gives up only 2 earned in 5 2/3. It just shouldn't happen. The Phillies are a great team, though. When they do put it together.
Yeah,
they're just like the Angels, right? They have a history of beating themselves, But here's what you have to do with the Phillies: bet the hot streak, but don't be surprised when the Phillies just ruin one of your parlays or something.
Yeah, absolutely. That is great advice.
So, while we're talking about ruining parlays, I have to come clean. I thought just making the parlays that I make, bet on the show, it might be some bad juju, bad vibes or something, because I'm telling everybody about the bets, might be something going on. So what I did is Wednesday night, I made a parlay bet. And you're probably thinking, here goes Noah, just with one of his stupid parlays, another quick L, right? But no. I'm just starting to get into midseason form here. I threw together a six leg parlay of Padres money line, Brewers money line, Twins money line, Marlins money line, Bucks to win by more than 25 or more than 12.5. So I sport crossover right there. And to cap it off, I had the Braves to win by more than 1.5. Yep. I went 5 for 6 that night. And the Braves lost an extra. Really, it capped it off and killed my vibe. Kept me away from greatness. So, talking about teams that will ruin your parlays, we'll talk about the Braves series versus the Cubs.
Yeah, and in that game in particular, I think that was Patty Wisdom hit a 2-run bomb in the 10th. They won 6-3 that game.
It was bad. The Braves had a chance to really cap it off. I think they had bases loaded or runners on second and third with 2 outs, and in the 8th or the 9th, and then they blew it. And they only ended up tying the game, and it was just so sad. I was watching that game like a hawk, and I'd never been rooting for the Braves so hard in my life. And I hope to God to never have to do that again. That was so brutal.
That is the worst whenever you lose your parlay on just one leg.
Especially
that deep into the night too.
Yeah, and I mean they were the home team. The only way they were going to win by more than 1.5 was a 2-run home run, which
Right.
would have been electric. The electric factory that would have been going on in my house, in my
Mhm.
room, I would have been going absolutely crazy. I would have hit the town. Oh my god, I don't want to get into it, but yeah, I went 5 for 6. We could talk about the
Well,
series now.
you'll bounce back. You'll bounce back today. I guarantee it.
I guarantee it too.
All right. Now, as for that series, Max Fried looking great. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 4 hits in game one. That was a 3-1 win for the Bravos. And then some pretty huge news. Ronald Cunha Jr. is back. He returned in game 3. He just went 1 for 5 in the game, but stole 2 bases. No big deal.
Nonchalant, right?
Yeah, just swiping 2 bags. Welcome back to Ronnie. You know what else might be back is the Braves bullpen. Actually, wait, I skipped one thing there. Kyle Wright was dealing in that third game as well. 7 innings of 1-run baseball.
Wow.
Yeah, Braves bullpen might be back. Kenley, AJ Minter, Colin McHugh, Will Smith, all scoreless outings in their most recent appearances.
Wow. And you said the Braves took 2 out of 3 at home against the Cubs, right?
Yeah, they won games 1 and 3.
It's crazy because the Braves only lost the game that I bet on.
It always seems to happen like that, doesn't it?
They're probably just going to keep winning as long as I don't bet on them.
You know what?
So I was going to say, if anybody doesn't want the Braves to win one game, hit me up. Let me know. I'll bet on them for you, and all will be good.
There you go. Let's keep it rolling here. The Yankees, they keep it rolling. They just dominated the O's. They're winners of 6 straight games now. Yankees scored 27 runs over 3 games. Stanton hit his 350th career homer, 7th quickest player to reach that milestone. Just touching on that, I remember when I was probably 16, so this would be 10, 11 years ago. I was like, dude, if anyone's ever going to hit 800 home runs, it's going to be this guy. Yeah. Absolutely. But all those injuries, man, really added up. And it's still crazy, though, to think that he's the 7th quickest player to hit that milestone, which is wild.
Yeah. I just remember being at the game at Dodger Stadium where he hit the ball out of the stadium.
Damn.
So, and then you look at his swing now, and it just feels like a completely different swing. He feels like a completely different person.
He looks like a robot, bro.
Yeah, sometimes there are flashes of the past, but I miss the old Stanton.
Dude, it looks like he's just chopping it like if you're chopping out a tree, he just chops it and then it goes 450 feet. It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But speaking of bombs, Rizzo hit 3 bombs in Tuesday's win. The 3 homers averaged 350 feet, which is the lowest average amongst 3 home run games ever. So just an ode to that Mickey Mouse Stadium that it is.
Did you say the lowest?
Yeah. So if you were to take all 3 home runs and divide them by 3, the distance of them, it comes to equal 350 feet. And that is the lowest average of 3 home run games by a player ever. Does that make sense?
So, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I hear you, but I'm going to give the listeners just kind of a background. There's probably the list of 3 home run games is probably so small that anybody who does it at Yankee Stadium probably has a little bit of help.
Yes.
So, I mean, I on that note, I just want to make a comment. I think there has to be a rule in Major League Baseball where outfield fences have to be at a certain distance away from home plate, because this advantage at Yankee Stadium is ridiculous, stupid, getting out of hand. And the fact that Rizzo is able to hit 3 home runs and average out to 350 feet, if he played in 98% of the other stadiums, he would have an 0 for 3 game.
3 flyouts, probably.
3 flyouts.
Yeah, it is sad. And then while we're on that topic, looks like the prior shortest, I pulled up the tweet, was Brandon Lowe of 364 feet average distance. And that was at Yankee Stadium as well in October of 2021.
My point exactly.
Yeah. So that Mickey Mouse Stadium, there should be an asterisk if any of those guys ever set records.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Any Yankees record should have an asterisk to it, not just because the Yankees fans are scumbags.
Yeah. But the Yankees pitching, just meh, nothing really to point out there. I don't even know who went in that. Tyone went one game.
Well, I will say that Severino was playing well. I know people probably don't like Severino, but he pitched well going into his last inning of pitching. He had no earned going into his last inning. I think he ended up with 6 or 7 innings in his outing, but he's a guy who's coming off of a not so great season, off of injury, off of suspension. I think that the Yankees, if they got rid of Rothschild, their pitching coach, that was the biggest decision, the biggest thing that they could have done ever. And they got rid of him 2 years ago. Last year, they had injury plague, the injury bug, and they weren't like a full unit. They had some success, but they didn't find their most success, like their best success as a team. I think this Yankees pitching staff, although they might not be the best Yankees pitching staff they've had, I think that gives them that chip on their shoulder. Like, people don't think we're good, so we need to start showing out. And I know I've talked a lot of shit about the Yankees, but I think that, yes, they're going to be good to have some bad outings and some shellings. But for the most part, I think they're going to be consistent, and the top of that rotation, and if you consider Severino at the top of Cole, Severino, and Tyone, I think he's not too bad.
Yeah, and it looks like Nestor Cortez Jr. also having a decent year.
Exactly.
I mean, if that's like one question mark going in, it's like, oh, this guy's like probably going to have like a crazy ERA, like a 4+ ERA, but he's off to a 1.15 ERA, 0.64 WHIP. It looks like.
No, I've only heard really, really good things about Nestor Cortez. I think Severino was the question mark. Tyone was the question mark. And Nestor Cortez is one of those guys who you were expecting to do. Who I think a lot of people might packages.
Yeah, if Cortez could come in and be like a solid number 3 guy to that rotation, okay, then I'll start buying into the Yankees rotation.
Yeah.
Only other thing to note there. Anything else for you on the Yankees?
No.
Okay. Tony Santander, 2 bombs in the series. That's about all the O's news that we need.
Yeah, I mean, I have a note coming up later, but the Orioles are not hitting well. And it is starting to affect their games.
Yeah.
I mean, their pitching is not doing too poorly, but they just can't hit the ball. Yeah,
which is odd. We thought maybe that would be their strength, would be if they were going to win games, it'd be by slugging.
Yeah, right. But apparently it's the opposite this year.
Let's keep it rolling here.
Yes, please.
The Fish, the Marlins, they sweep the Curly W's, which, I guess in the meantime, you could maybe think of it as good news for the Nationals. They're on pace. They're still eligible to start out 19-31 on the year.
Perfect. That's exactly what we need. If the Nats can get to 19-31,
watch out.
I'd say watch out, but then I'd be lying to everybody. No. The Washington Nationals are not very good this year. They have some good players, and yes, they're going to have some good games. They're going to have maybe a streak or 2 this season, but it doesn't look like they're playing very good baseball. Hopefully they can take this time to bring up some young guys, some of their young pitchers, like Kate Cavalli or Savali. I'm not sure exactly what it is, what his last name is or how it's pronounced. Excuse me. And then they have this guy, Jackson Rutledge, who's a good pitcher as well. I'm just looking forward to their young guys coming up eventually, and they need to just continue to build. That team's not at their best right now, and they need to really figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But about that series, the Marlins, they're really good. They've figured it out, and they figured out how to win while resting their best players. They rested Jazz and Joey Wendell in one of their games and won. I remember when the Marlins made the playoffs in the shortened season, and everybody kind of laughed it off.
Yeah.
But I knew it wasn't
They won the series. Didn't they beat the Cubs?
Exactly. I knew it wasn't a fluke. Here comes the fish. And they're ready to take the league by storm.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a couple stats here. Or actually one stat. The top 5 pitching teams in the league should come as no surprise. And top 5 pitching, I mean, just overall stats compiled and went like overall rankings and just all that shebang. You have the top 5, no surprise. You have the Dodgers, you have the Giants. In my eyes, it's no surprise, but you have the Yankees, you have the Mets, and you have the Mariners. I think those 5 teams are probably what most people would consider probably the best pitching teams in baseball. But rounding it out as a 6th best pitching team is Miami. And you know what? I think if you can pay attention, that's a stat to watch out for. I mean, I know there's a lot of stats in there, but the fact that Miami is keeping it up, pay attention to their pitchers, pay attention to that team. Who knows? They might even get frisky. And if the Braves can actually put it together, maybe I'll keep betting on them. But if I keep betting on the Braves, the Marlins may be able to put themselves into 2nd place, maybe a wild card spot. Or in the best case possible, for that AL or NL East, you have the Braves and the Marlins making it into that wild card spot.
Ooh. So now I did want to ask you here. I have the current odds to make the playoffs. Marlins are plus 320, so about 3-1 odds. Do you like that?
Yeah,
I think I do
like that.
well. Because it's we're in the expanded playoff this year, right? 7 teams from each side.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see them maybe sliding in there.
Absolutely. I mean, barring injury, which always freaking sucks. You make these futures bets and you're like, yes. Like you probably made a White Sox futures bet, and which isn't doing so well, huh?
Yeah, not doing well.
But yeah,
I like that. I could see them making the playoffs plus 320.
Yeah, I mean, you get a plus sign, might as well.
Yeah, take a shot. Keep it rolling here. The Jays take 3 out of 4 from the Red Sox in Toronto.
Yes.
I, for some reason, still having a tough time getting fired up for the series, even though I should be with all the star power in each lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I'm having a hard time getting fired up as well. But I think I know why, and it's for a couple of reasons. Feels like there's just better baseball going on elsewhere. And if I'm being honest, I think it's because of Boston. Boston just hasn't felt the same since Mookie left. Verdugo's good, Kike's good, but in most people's eyes, in my eyes especially, they're still Dodgers. And another reason why watching the Red Sox sucks, they're 25th, or they're tied for 25th in the league in home runs, with 11 home runs as a hitting team.
Wow.
They are the only teams that have less home runs this year, the Tigers and the Orioles. And that's compared to the Blue Jays, who lead the league with 26 home runs, followed up by the Angels at 25, which we talked about maybe the hottest team in baseball. But the Blue Jays will just keep winning. They've won 6 out of 7 matchups they won 6 out of 7 in the matchups against the Red Sox so far this season, excuse my French. It's what I find to be the issue with the Red Sox is that, their guys just don't seem to be performing to their potential. They're not playing great baseball. They're not doing anything fantastic. When you have Devers as one of your best players, Devers isn't a household name. The Red Sox don't have any, besides for Chris Sale and maybe JD Martinez. If you know baseball, you don't really have household names in that team. Where the Blue Jays are up and coming, but again, most of those guys aren't household names unless you're a baseball fan and you realized that this is the Blue Jays year. But other than that, if you're kind of just a wear weather, I think that's what a right phrase. But if you're just kind of an iffy fan, if you're not in it all the time, if you don't follow baseball very intently, you may not know that the Blue Jays are a powerhouse. So that's why it feels like these series aren't getting as much hype as they probably should be. And this is as I've said, this is their second series of the season. And it just feels like it's probably because of the Red Sox and just the lack of household names.
Yeah, they're underperforming for sure. 8-12 out of the gate. You would have thought, like, I couldn't tell you what any of those guys are batting right now. Like Trevor Story, I don't know how he's doing.
Yeah.
Devers, Bogarts, like you said, JD. It's like, if you asked me what their average was, I have no idea. Couldn't tell you how many home runs any guys got. It's like, kind of like once they start hitting, then I'll be like, okay, it's time to tune in.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to prove to me that I should spend my time watching you.
And could this be a product of the new baseballs?
Man, we are going to have to retouch on that because that is becoming quite the issue.
Absolutely. I mean, I called it from the beginning. When you change the baseballs, when you add humidors into all these stadiums, things are going to be different.
Yep. Plus, to find out, which I guess we already knew at this point, but they're using two different baseballs last year and they blame it on like supply chain issues. It's like, come on, guys, you're Major League Baseball, figure it out. Use one baseball. What are we doing testing baseballs? Like, there's so many freaking issues with the MLB, and it's like, oh my gosh. But nope, let's change the rules. It's got to be the rules of the game. Let's change those.
It's got to be the size of the bases.
Yeah, right. Yeah, let's make the bases a little bigger. That'll shorten up the games and get people interested.
Absolutely. You nailed it on the head.
Oh my Lord. Let's keep it rolling though.
Yeah, why not?
Man, maybe actually, I guess statistically, the hottest team in the league, winners of 7 straight games, the Minnesota Twins.
Yes.
They just swept the Tigers.
Yes.
Winners of 7 straight, as I just said. Let's see, that would have been the 5th straight win. It was a little hairy towards the end. It was a 5-4 win for them in game 1. I guess it goes down as a hit in the books, but it was an error in my book by Robbie Grossman in the 9th. A line drive in right field, kind of I think it skipped off his glove. 2 runs scored, they walked it off. Joe Ryan comes back in game 2. Guy's absolutely elite.
Yes, he is.
7 innings pitch, no earned runs, 1 hit, 1 walk on 90 pitches in the 5-0 win. Max Kepler, 2 bombs. Jeffers hit a homer and an RBI double. These guys are slugging right now.
Yeah, I mean, just as everybody expected and suspected, the Twins were going to run away with the Central. And I don't even know if Carlos Correa is doing anything that's special. I think he's probably hitting maybe average, maybe a little bit below his average. But I saw a stat. This is the more important line.
Yeah,
I saw a stat that I could be butchering it. It's probably very close to this. But in the last 162 games for the Twins that Byron Buxton has played in, the Twins have won 99 of those. I didn't have time to find that post that had all of those statistics.
You didn't pull up the game logs and do a deep dive?
Yeah, I was too busy looking at clips of Angel Hernandez. I would just get pissed and then start drinking. No, I'm joking. But Byron Buxton, if you still haven't, get those MVP votes in. I know we like Jordan over here as well. But I think the pace that the Twins are on, they're probably going to win the Central. And because they're going to win the Central, you have to look at like who's leading that team, right? You have Joe Ryan at this point, who's leading the pitching, but you're probably not going to give the MVP to a pitcher who, I mean, he might be doing it, but the one walk is concerning.
Shut up.
Byron Buxton is pretty much an everyday player, and as long as he can stay healthy and continue to be that everyday player, the Twins are going to win the Central, and he should be the MVP of that team.
Wow. I can't believe we're handing out AL Central titles already, but
I mean, the way the top of that division, you have Twins, and then you are followed up by the overall, like the clear second best in the Guardians. And then you have the Royals. I mean, do you want to go through a power ranking of the AL Central now, or should we save that for a later time?
Yeah, let's save that for a later time. Let's save that until maybe July when the White Sox are healthy.
Okay.
All right, let's keep it rolling. You got anything else on the Twins?
No, they're just like they're running away. They're taking off with that Central, and it looks like they're going to keep running.
Yeah, I mean, they're up by 3 games right now, and they've won 2 out of their 7 games came off of errors where they won. So good for them. But let's keep it rolling here. The Astros, they win the Silver Boot Series 3-1 over the Rangers. Let's see, not too much for me in this series. Jordan Yabo Tracker, 4th homer. He hit that in game 1. Verlander still sick. This is a Pro Old Guys podcast. He's dealing again. 7 innings pitched, 1 earned, 4 hits in the win in game 4. I think Martin Perez had a perfect game going into like the 6th or 7th in that game also.
Wow.
But Rangers couldn't get it done there.
That's what, not to interrupt, but that's the one thing that the Rangers are always good for. You'll find that they have this one pitcher who goes a complete game gem or a no-hitter, maybe even not a perfect game, probably a no-hitter. And you'll be like, wait, what? Are the Rangers for real? And then that guy might have another good start and then will completely nosedive and just tank. So you know what? That might be the guy, Martin Perez.
Yeah, Perez. He's going to be the guy who's going to get shelled. But let's see. Kyle Tucker, 2 dongs in the series, and he hit the go-ahead pinch hit home run in the 8th inning in game 4.
Wow.
He had 9 RBIs in the series. And my final point here from this series is, as I mentioned there, that was the Silver Boot Series, big Texas rivalry. I think the MLB, once again, I'm going to keep ragging on them for their marketing. They should do they should make it a bigger deal when rivalries come up on the schedule.
I hate to break it to you, but I don't know if we can really call this a rivalry. I mean, like, yeah, sure, it's this, you're calling it the Lone Star, the Silver Boot Series, whatever. I mean, these 2 teams are at such talent discrepancies.
Sure.
That calling it a rivalry is pointless. It's like when the Lakers were bad and saying the Lakers and the Celtics had a rivalry. No, the Celtics were good and the Lakers sucked. There was no rivalry going on there. But when the Lakers and Celtics are good, you can tell that there's a rivalry and there's some bad blood. But when both teams don't have the same talent level, it's no rivalry. It's just kind of a stomping. And truthfully, that's what it was. That series was. although that's just naturally how it happens, right? The one game that the Astros did lose to the Rangers was the one game that we both bet on the Astros, right? Yeah, it was Monday. You bet the over.
I had the over, and I had the over 8.5, and it came in at 8 runs.
8 runs, right? Naturally, they just try to screw us. And I had the Astros, and I think I had the Astros to win by 1.5. And clearly they won by a 1.5, right? No, they lost, and it just freaking sucks to bet baseball when you also do a podcast because the world just wants to be against you. But that's not true because this Friday, today, we're going to change it.
Yes, and yes, today is Friday. Let's keep it rolling there. Finish up with the last series. I don't have much on this one. The Royals take 2 out of 3 against the White Sox in Chicago. The Kansas City boost was not meant to be for the Sox in this series. I'm just over these injuries.
I think his name is Keller. Is it Brad Keller?
Brad Keller, yeah, I think he dealt yesterday.
He is. So I'll just tell you. In his first start of the year, he blanked Cleveland 6 innings, 5 Ks, no earned. And then on Thursday, he went 7 innings, 3 Ks, and I think it was 1 earned against the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
He might not get the Ks at a high rate that other elite pitchers will, but he's someone who's going to keep KC in games and keep them winning games. He got a little bit lit up by Seattle, but Seattle's a much better team than the White Sox and the Guardians. So I just think that and he didn't do too poorly against the Tigers as well. It looks like he gave up 2 runs, but he pitched 7 innings and went 5 innings or went 5 Ks as well. Mm-hmm. So I think the Royals are developing. I think they're always going to be developing, and they just need to keep adding people around those core guys. They're going to lose Perez soon, which sucks, but he was one of those blue guys who's getting old. Whit Merrifield, who knows what his deal is? You call him a difference maker, but is he really making that much of a difference there? And hopefully Bobby Witt Jr. can put in some work and be the guy, be that top draft pick that they spent the number 2 guy on.
Yeah. Well, no, I would argue that Whit Merrifield is a difference maker, considering the Royals are in second place in the AL Central, in the vaunted AL Central.
I mean, we just went through the power rankings, my mock power rankings prior to the actual power rankings that go out for the AL Central. And I think the Guardians are the second best team. So in the Central, the standings don't really matter, as you could see. The Twins are the overall best, and the White Sox rounded out at the bottom, so we're good.
Yeah, maybe Cleveland should work on winning a baseball game before we start ranking them that high.
Oh, God, that would hurt. But what I will say is Moncada did start his rehab, I believe. Giolito is back for Friday's game.
Yes.
And I think Chicago, the White Sox, they're really missing Luis Robert and Eloy. That outfield tandem might actually be the best in baseball when healthy. They both have average potential, high average potential, huge power potential, and they're a crazy lineup punch. So, but other than that, it's just sad to be a AL Central team right now.
Yeah, it is tough right now. Man, this injury report is long, and I forgot to even mention Liam Hendricks went to the IL as well.
Yeah, it's that IL
or not to the IL, but he was day to day. Looks like he's probable for the 29th for today.
I was gonna say if he's on the IL, that IL trip is just a mental trip.
Man, I don't even know if they can put any more guys on IL. They're running out of spots.
Hey, it's welcome to the White Sox.
All right, let's keep it rolling though. Let's talk about upcoming series. Arizona taking on St. Louis. It's a 4-game set. Game one went to St. Louis. I think they won like 8-0 or something last night. Let me just double check. 8-3.
Yes.
San Diego taking on Pittsburgh for 3 games in Pittsburgh. Seattle keeping the Florida road trip alive. I think they're playing Miami. Did I mark that down right? Or did I put that down incorrectly?
I don't recall.
Okay. I think they're playing Miami because they just played Tampa Bay. So I got that down wrong. 3 games in Miami. That should be a fun series between the M's and the Fish. Boston taking on Baltimore. Good opportunity for Boston to bounce back and maybe climb back up the standings. Houston taking on Toronto for another 3 games. This one's north of the border. That should hopefully be a fun series. Lots of home runs, I'm hoping.
Yes.
And our beloved White Sox are hosting the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. That's a 4-game set with game 4 scheduled for Monday, one of those wonky series.
Yeah.
And a huge series with Philly trending upward. They are traveling to New York to take on the Mets for 3 games.
Yeah, you say huge, Philly's trending upwards, but Mets are just a powerhouse, man.
Yes, we will see. They play 7 games against each other over the next 10 days or so. Wow. They play 4 games in Philly next week. So that's something to keep an eye on. They can try and close the gap in that division. Their Philly is 4 games back right now.
That should be, it's going to be fun.
Should be a good one. Lots of good pitching matchups there, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
The Twins, Red Hot Twins, winners of 7 straight, taking on the Rays. That's the correct series. They're taking on the Rays in Tampa this weekend.
Yes.
3 games there. Atlanta taking on Texas Rangers for 3 games at beautiful Globe Life Field. Yankees taking on the Royals for 3 games in Kansas City. Hopefully get that Kansas City boost for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cubs travel up to Milwaukee, the I-94 rivalry. They should make bigger deal about rivalries in baseball.
That's a better rivalry.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's only I think it's 90 minutes, not even. Might be an hour from Chicago up to Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's a better rivalry.
Then we have Cincinnati, the Reds.
Speaking of rivalries, exactly.
They're going out to Colorado. They're going to get smoked by the Rockies. That's 3 games. The Guardians taking on Oakland. Let's go Oakland. Let's keep trying to get to 69 wins. That one's out in Oakland. The Dodgers hosting the Tigers for 3 games. And then we finish up with Washington, the Curly W's, taking on the Giants in the Bay.
So I do want to just make a quick note. Hunter Green is going for the first game against the Rockies, for Cincinnati against the Rockies.
Yes.
I wouldn't necessarily just chalk that up to a Colorado Rocky win. But only for that game. I think the other games you could pretty much bet the Rockies and feel safe. Yeah. But the Hunter Green game, I would just kind of stay away from and just enjoy the showcase that is a young phenom in Hunter Green.
Let's see what he is at. 1-2 with a 5.27 ERA to start the year.
I mean, his ERA is not going to be great, but it's also because it doesn't have great defense and that team is just subpar.
He's young.
Yeah, he's just young as well. But it's
okay. Yeah. So he's going to be buzzed. He's going to be buzzing in 101 mile per hour fastballs, and they're just going to be hitting them 490 feet in that stadium.
Yeah, exactly. And that, oh my God, the hitter's ballpark.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That'll actually be interesting to see today. So I might tune into that one. Any other notes, or should we move on to some best bets?
I mean, San Francisco's no other notes really.
Mm-hmm. You think the Dodgers are going to win all 3 games against the Tigers?
Who knows? I mean, I don't want to. Yes, I do think so, but probably not. I think that it would be safe to bet on the Dodgers against Detroit, just knowing how Detroit's been and Detroit's woes. Mm-hmm. So here's what I will say on that. Actually, I'm going to change my answer. Yes, I do think the Dodgers are going to win all 3 games against Detroit, and this is why. because Arizona's pitching is a little better than Detroit's pitching. Actually,
Yes.
a lot better than Detroit's pitching.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that and only that, I think that the Dodgers will win all 3 games.
All right. Should be I don't even know if it's going to be a fun series.
I mean,
Dodgers
fans, it's going to be a good comeback series, but
yeah, Dodgers are 6-1 at home, so they'll probably keep that up.
yes.
All right, let's talk some best bets here. You want to start us off, or you want me to go?
Sure, I'll start off. Yeah, so as you guys know, as I told you, I was 5-6 Wednesday. Monday, I just kind of blacked out. I didn't really look at all the scores, so I'm basically pretending Monday didn't happen. So we're 0-0 going into Friday with a fantastic weekend ahead of us, right?
Yeah.
First off, as you know, the hottest golf bettor in the world, kind of, maybe, or in this podcast.
Yeah.
We're riding with Aaron Rye in Mexico Open this weekend. If you got your bets in before the tees on Thursday, you had 60-1 odds to win, and Rye is currently 1 stroke back of the lead going into Friday.
Let's go. No one hotter than you on the course.
Nobody's hotter than me. So now on to baseball. I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to keep it simple. And I'm just going to put us into the green. I'm just going to get us the win, get us the money. And then we can talk about those big wins later down the line once we have some money, all right? So let's just start off with the guarantees. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And 2 of them just happen to be in the same game. So I really like San Diego against who are they playing? The Pirates. I really like San Diego against the Pirates. So we're betting the money line, and we're betting the over 7 runs. Simply because the Padres alone have scored 6 or more runs in 6 of their last 7 games. And that's including a series with the Dodgers. So if you take that into consideration, with the fact that the Pirates are probably good for 1, maybe 2 runs, I think both of those are all lock. Then you have the Angels at plus 105. So you have the Angels money line against the White Sox. You know, even though Giolito's making his comeback, right?
Mm-hmm.
The White Sox still need to score runs. And I do not have them in my computer models scoring very many runs against Thor Syndergaard, who's pitching pretty well in his comeback season. And then to round out the picks, my fourth outcome is San Francisco's money line against Washington. Washington's just not very good. San Francisco's very good. And do I need to say more? I've gone through all the San Francisco stats. If you're still here, still listening to us, you absolutely know how high we are on the Giants and just about how low we are on the Nationals. So I bet more outcomes. As you know, I like my parlays, but I'm guaranteeing a win for Friday's board. And $100 bettor wins $837, which, you know, we're not in the thousands. It's not the 24,000 pot that we could have won the other day. But just under $1,000 is still a nice pocket and could move the line here or there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that's plus 837 about?
Yep. That's plus 837 with the best odds that we could find around. So yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that's just cool $800 in the pocket. What about you?
Yeah, so I am coming off a 1-1 day on Monday. We actually picked up 0.02 units since we had a plus 102 pick. So now we're 6-7 on the year, still minus 2.75 units. But I got 2 good bets here today. Going over 8.5 at plus 100 in the Astros versus Blue Jays game. Urquidy versus Kikuchi. Jays are slashing 313, 345, 522 against Urquidy, while the Astros are 214, 318, 416 against Kikuchi. Jordan, 6 for 20 against him with 2 homers. Bregman, 6 for 17 with the bomb. Yuli, 5 for 20 1 with 2 homers. Nico Goodrum, 3 for 7 with a triple and a double. And Marty Malds, aka Marty Maldonado, 3 for 10 with a homer. I just feel like these Jays games in Toronto always have a lot of runs. So I like the over there, 8.5. 2 pitchers who are kind of struggling out of the gate.
Yeah, that sounds good. I really like that.
Yeah. So I like that one. And then my other one will be the Yankees -1.5 at -115 odds versus the Royals. Yankees, they're facing Chris Bubich, who has a 14.14 ERA.
Wait, what? What did you say?
Chris Bubich has a ERA of 14.14.
14.14?
Yeah, I think he's given up like 11 runs over 7 innings of work. So he's getting shelled this year. His whip is 3.00.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah, so the way that the Yankees are swinging the sticks right now, they should make quick work of this guy. Yankees also have the 4th highest OPS versus left-handed pitching at .776. They have the 8th lowest Ks, 8th lowest strikeouts versus left-handed pitching. And then Bubich is in the 8th percentile in K percentage and 9th in whiff percentage. So if you don't know how percentiles work, that means he's the 8th percentile in K percentage, which means 92% of his peers are better than him. And then in whiff percentage, 91% are better than him.
Oof.
So this guy doesn't get swings and misses, which means the Yankees are going to put balls in play. They're going to get hits. They're going to run up the score in this one and cover the run line.
Yikes.
So just to read those back here real quick. Got the over 8.5 at +100. The Astros in the Blue Jays game. And then the Yankees -1.5 at -115.
Yeah. And I'll just read mine back because I didn't do that as well. We have the San Diego money line as well as the game to go over 7 runs. We have the Angels money line, and then we have the San Francisco Giants money line.
Beautiful. Let's run it up. Anything else, Noah?
No, I mean, I'm just thinking that it's going to be a good day for all of us. We're going to hope for a good weekend. We're all rooting for Aaron Rye.
Yes.
And, let's make some bacon, bring home some dough, and have some fun this weekend.
There we go. Thanks, everyone, for keeping it between the chalk with us. Make sure to give us that follow on the socials at PSBN Baseball. And give us that subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah. Looking forward to just having you guys along for the ride.
All right. We'll talk to you guys Monday. Peace.
See ya.